Hey, welcome back. We're continuing our overview of lessons 7 through 14. Join me now and let's get started. Alright, in this lesson we're going to overview the lessons 7 through 14. So in part 1 of actor development, we really start to get into how to use these guys on the stage and move them around and get more things going on. So let's first talk about the background. It's a background that I bought. I think it was under $10. And you go ahead and just double click to bring it on to the page. And so here we are with it, and we can click any of these little red check marks and you can see that the different components of the background are all selectable. So let's go ahead and just turn on one of these backgrounds here. And now all these overviews are going to be turned on into high speed, and I'm going to walk you through the overview of what we did. And right now this is playing at normal speed, but I'm going to go ahead and turn it up into high speed mode, and then I'll tell you what's going on. And when you want to learn something in these lessons, you can go back and watch the actual lesson. Now here you can see I'm just selecting the boxes. I can bring in any of the different components that came with this kit. This was a background, and it also had all the gym machines and things like that. So I choose anything that I want to have in the scene, and even as much as making the windows go opaque like this. It's a really cool effect. You can see the city in the background pretty well when you zoom in, and all the buildings and everything, the skyline. So that's really awesome too. So let's go ahead and ramp this thing up, and we'll start going through this. Okay, so this is lesson number 7 that we're doing here, and we'll be working with the motion files and the timeline. And so pretty much I highlight that little red button there in the top of the timeline, and that hones me in on just the actor that I have highlighted on the screen. So I'm coming in here, and these are the motion files that I can select, and most of these came with Cartoon Animator. So I can select different walking motions that I want to put into the timeline. As you can see, I already have some walking motions in there. And we'll go ahead and add a few more. Okay, and there I'm sliding that slider to make my movie longer, and everything that's between those two red bars is going to be how long the movie is. So then go ahead and bring in a second actor, which will be Alex, and I'm going to bring him in from his backside view. Now he comes as a character with a back view, backside, side view, and front facing view. And so the trick is as you get your actor up into position and you're ready to change a position, you actually switch actors. And so I'll be showing you how that's done. Right now I've just started at the beginning of the timeline, and I've moved the timeline forward a bit, and then I've selected the character and drew him back out of the scene, and it created a path. And then from there I'm able to keep working with that path. So here we're going into lesson 8. You can see him standing outside of the scene with the path. Okay, and now I've gone ahead and guided him up onto the exercise machine. And I know this all goes really fast in this view, so you're going to want to go and view the lesson to see how we did this. Everything step by step and goes in slow speed, and I'm talking my way through it so that you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so we tweak on this for a while and get it just how we want it, and then we'll go in and we'll add some walking steps now for Alex. And each time I double click, you see him take the few steps. Looks like I ran out of space there and I want my movie to be just a little longer, so went ahead and added a little more space by increasing the stop. And now we can get him a couple more steps on the exercise machine. Now there's walking steps that move and there's walking steps that just stand still, so I chose the ones that just stand still on the exercise machine. Okay, so now I've gone to ElevenLabs, which is a voice uh, company. You can go ahead and talk or type what you want it to say, and then you just generate the speech. Only you're using their actor voices, so you can choose boys and girls, men and women, all different nationalities, whatever you're looking for a voice, and just generate it in a couple seconds. So now I take these voice generated clips and I go ahead and add them to the character. It's real simple. Each character that I click on, then that's the one that I'm working with in the timeline and when I'm adding voices. So you have to make sure you're selecting the right character. Okay, so coming up in lesson 9 now, we keep working with these with this scene. This is an actual scene for Hound Dog News for Kids, so I forget which episode this one was. I think it's for episode 3 of Hound Dog News for Kids. These are real shows that are also posted on YouTube, so wanted to let you see how I make it. And rather than just tell you all the features of Cartoon Animator, I wanted you to be able to see how I'm working with it for real. Okay, so you can see down on the timeline, I'm collecting lots of little dots. I've got the little yellow bar there is the walking steps that I've added in. Each time I double click on one of those walking steps and add it, it goes down and records itself down in the timeline. So does all the voices and hand movements and virtually everything about the actor. And the real secret is the just under the timeline, the very top bar of the timeline, the second button that you can click on, you can see that's highlighted red, and that is the one that says, hey, I only want you to show me the actor that's highlighted in the timeline. So remember that. Okay, so I've got to talk my way through here a little bit and maybe miss the point here about Alex turning around. But what we did is we, at the point that we wanted Alex to turn, we went ahead and put a character that goes the other direction. We do the same thing for this character. We've gone ahead and right at the very point that the very next frame, one character disappears and the other character appears. So that's what I'm setting up right here. Just takes a couple seconds and then she'll disappear and the other character that's already turned around appears. Okay. And now she's going to follow Alex then off the scene. And you can hear the voices that we created and what they're saying and stuff like that and the lessons. So you'll want to be sure and go back and see how we did this. Now basically Alex got the news that they need to get to the party. Going to have a surprise party. Okay, so coming up here in lesson 10, we work with the mouth. And we're able to add smiles and facial expressions and custom gestures and things like that that we want and just in the right places. And so pretty much this was a pretty complicated scene and it took a bit of time putting in all of the different features. But we basically, Alex coming in, This is the first time they've ever seen the gym, so they're pretty thrilled. And then they remember that they've got to get to the surprise party, so they turn around real fast and head on out. That's pretty much the whole scene, and I think in the episode of Hound Dog News, this whole scene's going to last about 15, 20, maybe 30 seconds. And then we'll add some pretty custom features towards the end um, with the camera work and that, in order for you to see uh, different perspectives of this scene. So you want to make sure you tune in for that. Okay, so now these are the audio clips that I'm basically timing so I can slide these little audio clips back and forth and have him say what he needs to say exactly when I want him to say it. Virtually everything's adjustable. I can also just right click any audio clip and break it in two and then have other conversation interject. So it's all pretty flexible. You can also just record your own voice, and there's also some AI voices that come with the cartoon animator. It's very, very limited. So you pretty much, if you're going to work with professional voices, you're going to want to use something like ElevenLabs, or there's other ones out there, but ElevenLabs is the one that I've used. Okay, so now this little gizmo tool allows me to turn their head and get their head pointing in the direction that I want to throughout the scene. So I just work my way down the timeline until I get them where I want them. Everybody's eyes are looking in the right direction. They're getting enough eye blinks and different things like that. So the cool thing about Cartoon Animator, you can go through every single part of the character. So here in a lesson 11, we continue on with this scene. It goes on, but there's a lot of different details that we're covering here. And I wanted you to be able to really catch the concept of this, so that when you're working with your character and you get stuck on different things, you can go back and figure out. When Alex walked into the room, his arm would go weirdly behind his back, and there's different things you can do with the layers of the character to fix that. And if you stick with these lessons, you'll learn all of that, how we adjusted that and made it right. Okay, so we're just about there with these guys. We had to get them to where they're starting to walk out the room and make it look realistic. And we had the characters crossing in front of each other weirdly, and so there I'm rolling the mouse wheel and making sure that the two characters stay in the right space on the scene and don't cross each other in an odd way. So now I'm able to keep Amber there going in front of Alex the whole time. And I'm teaching you how to do that. So this is probably one of the toughest lessons, I think. As we go on, we do the camera work's real fun and light. This one was pretty fun to do. I really loved working with this scene, and especially when we did the camera work on this, it was a lot of fun. So that's coming up here. Alright, so my goal is to make it look like Alex is charging out of the room without him actually walking sideways. And it took a little while to get it just right to where when he was walking, and then when I would edit in CapCut, I'd just go ahead and cut that last little piece out and stop it right there. And so then it would cut to the next scene, and it all looked pretty natural, worked pretty good. Okay, so we're about wrapping up here with the two of them. he kind of stands there and waits for her to come off the machine. And they both start to walk out together. He's got his hand out, little gesture. Okay, so lesson 12. We're finishing the scene part 3. And this whole lesson really went through the face puppet in full detail. And I had a hard time finding the gizmo sometimes. That gizmo button would get hidden in the gym scene, in the windows and stuff. And I was having a hard time seeing it. And it took me a while to figure out that I had to just turn the background off like I showed you in the very beginning, where you just click one button and the background would have gone off and the gizmo would have just been plain as day, easy to see. So other than that, there was quite a bit of gizmo work in this to get their heads to go in the direction in that we wanted to. And so it took me a while to get Alex here to, he's having conversation, and then I wanted him to look out and notice the view and say wow and stuff like that. So we dial all that in, and I think here I'm struggling for the gizmo. Yeah, there we go. And I turn Alex so that he can see the city now. He notices it for a minute before he remembers, oh gosh, I just forgot. We got to get to the party. And we'll be showing you the party scene and also how that all went down. So there's lots of cool lessons there. So this is where I'm showing now how I could have just clicked the background button off and then the gizmo would have been completely visible. At one point I just simply couldn't find it, and I I got desperate and realized I could have done this all along, and it probably would have been a lot faster and you would have uh, seen it happen. But it's fine to learn together. That's kind of what we're doing here. I'm not a master at this. I'm not paid by Reallusion or anything. I just do this because I'm fascinated with animation and creating it. And it's a fun hobby for me. Okay, so here's where I'm doing the visible and invisible key up on the top. And what I do is I make sure that the background scene here is where you're seeing it, and then you're not seeing the background, and then she says, hey, check this out, Alex, and she pushes a button and it goes to the windows, and he's, whoa. And so that's kind of what this is about, and I'm teaching how to manipulate the background scene there. Okay, so now we're going to finish up the scene here, and this would be lesson 13, and we're going to finish up by dialing in the voices and all of that for this last little bit. And we're setting this up to where this whole thing comes to play now. I'm going to add these last couple voices for the scene. So I make the voice, and then I just come in and say create voice, and here we go. It adds it right into the timeline automatically. And you can see the little voice clips there. And then I just adjust those voice clips however I want. I can break it like I just did. Right click any clip and break it into 2 pieces. It's not really breaking the clip. And then you can move the sentences apart and that. Get the timing of it just right. Here I'm moving that sentence just a little closer together so it's more fluid with the scene. So this is really helpful with working with the audio clips that that you have this feature that you can go in and trim the clips and change the speed of them as well. Only that's a little dicey. You change the speed on an audio clip, I think you know what happens. It gets funky. Okay, so here we go. You can kind of see a preview of the scene in high speed motion anyway. All right, so lesson 14 is pretty cool. It goes pretty quick. It's about 10 minutes, and we're now going to do the camera work for this scene. So we've created a scene. You've seen me create it, and now I'm going to create cameras. I can come down in the timeline, and the cameras are you can find them down in here. There's only 3 little buttons that you have to look at: transform, link, and lens. Now I've just got the transform key here. And so I've done a quick little zoom, and then I can change the timing of the zoom by just dragging the little key point. Or I guess they just call it a key. And by advancing the timeline, I can then roll the mouse and zoom in on the scene. And then when I go back, it's recorded that motion. And so I'm teaching you how to do this. Now, this is just a high-speed review. I'm showing you step by step what I'm doing, how I'm manipulating the scene. Okay, so I create cameras, is what they call these, and each one can be a different perspective of the scene. So I create camera number 1 here, and I can adjust the zoom and the perspective of that clip. And I can go in and I can make the pan to the left and zoom in and do all these different things with these different clips. Okay, so I teach you how to do that. This is going pretty fast, I know. But basically I'm setting up these different camera positions, and then I'm setting them into motion. And each one of these will then be little mini movies that I'm clipped together when I get to CapCut. Okay, so here I'm exporting these movies out now. I use the MP4 format, which is usually the default setting for everything else. Okay, so here in normal speed, this is the clip then that I just created. And here it is again. And again. Yeah, and so some form of that will be used in the episode. So let's go ahead now as we move on to lesson 15. We're really going to go into the advanced camera, and I think you're really going to like that. It's been a very popular lesson. Do that, and we also start creating characters and character creation work in these forward lessons.
Hey,
so come on back
everybody.
and we'll go through all of
Welcome
that.
to the Hound Dog
Can't wait
News
to see you on
Talent
the next
Show.
one. Thanks
Who's
for
ready
watching.
to get started?
Be sure to like and subscribe.